All right, let's dive right into this explainer and crack open the ultimate team playbook for subject-verb agreement. If you're aiming for that really crisp, confident B2 level fluency, it helps to think of English grammar kind of like a football team. Your subject is the captain, your verb is the squad, and they absolutely have to work together in perfect harmony. If the captain calls a play, the squad has to execute it correctly, right? So today, we're going to break down the rules that govern this relationship, and we're going to focus specifically on those tricky little areas that catch out even really advanced learners.
So here is our playbook for today. We'll quickly run through these 5 grammar zones: the core warm-up, the indefinite pronoun trap, squad dynamics, the distance trap, and finally quantifiers, before wrapping up with a quick test. Let's get moving.
Starting off with Section 1, the core SVA warm-up, let's just make sure our absolute basics are dialed in.
Okay, test your instincts on this one. Take a look at this sentence. The players on the team is very talented. What do you think? True or false? Take a second. Now, at first glance, your ear might hear that singular word team right next to the verb is and think, yeah, that sounds perfectly fine. But let's see what's actually happening under the hood.
If you said false, you nailed it. This brilliantly illustrates our very first rule. You see, a plural subject, like players, absolutely must take a plural verb. In the present tense, that usually means using the base form of the verb, or in this specific case, the plural form of the verb to be, which is are. The core rule is pretty simple. A singular subject takes a verb with an S or ES slapped on the end, like the coach trains, but a plural subject takes the base form, like the players train.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Look at our 3 heavy hitters, the irregular verbs be, have, and do. These 3 form the absolute foundation of your SVA training. Notice how the third person singular, that's he, she, or it, always demands special treatment. He is, she has, it does. Meanwhile, plural pronouns like we, they, and you kind of group together using are, have, and do. You've got to get these locked into your memory because, honestly, they are the engine of practically every sentence you'll speak in English.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, the indefinite pronoun trap. This is a huge one for B2 learners.
Here's the deal with indefinite pronouns. They are incredibly stubborn. They are rigidly singular or rigidly plural, completely regardless of what your brain tries to tell you. Words like everyone, nobody, each, and someone are singular, always, period. On the flip side, words like both, few, many, and several are strictly plural. The trap usually springs when your logic starts fighting the grammar rule.
Let's look at a classic example. Everyone on the squad is expected to attend training. Now, logically, the word everyone feels like a crowd, right? It feels like a lot of people. But grammatically, it acts as a single, unified captain in our playbook. You treat it as one group. Therefore, it takes the singular verb is, not are. Everyone is ready. Nobody knows. Once you master this little trick, your written English will instantly level up.
Okay, jumping to Section 3, squad dynamics. Let's see what happens when we throw group nouns and compound subjects onto the field.
There's actually a super fascinating cultural split here when we deal with collective nouns like team, government, or class. In American English, they almost always treat these nouns as a single unified block, so you'd say the team is training hard. But British English, it allows for a bit more flexibility. If the members of that group are acting individually, maybe even disagreeing with each other, British English will actually use a plural verb. So you might hear, the team are arguing about tactics. For your B2 level, honestly, just pick a lane and stay consistent.
Now, what if we have 2 captains? It's simple math, really. If you connect 2 subjects with the word and, boom, you've got a plural partnership. Subject 1 plus subject 2 equals a plural squad. The goalkeeper and the defender are both injured. Because they're joined by and, you absolutely need that plural verb are. But wait, throw or nor into the mix, and the whole game changes. Suddenly, you have to use the rule of proximity. Sounds super academic, right? But it's actually just a simple 3-step hack. First, find your verb. Second, look at your subjects and literally spot the one that is physically standing closest to that verb. Third, make the verb agree with that closest subject. The other subject, just completely ignore it.
Check out how wild this is in practice. In the top sentence, vice captains, which is obviously plural, is sitting closest to the verb, so we use the plural are. Either the captain or the vice captains are responsible. But look at the bottom sentence. We literally just flip the order. Now, the singular captain is closest to the verb, so the verb instantly shapeshifts into the singular is. Either the vice captains or the captain is responsible. It all comes down to whichever noun is standing right next to the verb.
All right, section 4, let's talk about the distance trap. Test makers literally love this trick, and you'll see it in real-life reading all the time. How would you solve this sentence where a bunch of extra words separate our captain from the squad? The coach, along with his assistants, is or are watching the game. You see that plural word assistants right next to the blank, and it is so tempting to just drop are in there, isn't it?
But hold on! The real subject is just coach, and this perfectly highlights how phrases like along with, as well as, or together with, they don't create a plural compound subject like the word and does. They're basically just decoys, extra fluff. Because the core subject is the singular coach, the singular verb is wins the play. If you literally take a pen and cross out that middle phrase, it becomes completely obvious. The coach is watching.
Oh, and you have to watch out for sentences starting with there is or there are. In English, the word there is never actually the subject. It's basically a grammatical imposter. The true subject is actually hiding after the verb. There is a problem works because problem is singular. There are 3 matches works because matches is plural. Do not fall into this super common conversational trap of saying, there's 32 students in this class. It absolutely must be, there are 32 students because, well, students is plural.
Finally, section 5. We're looking at tricky quantifiers, and then we're putting your new SVA skills to the test.
Pay super close attention here because this one traps practically everyone at some point. A number of versus the number of. They look almost identical, but they behave completely differently. A number of essentially means several, so it always takes a plural verb. A number of students have submitted early. But the number of points to a very specific singular data point, like a statistic on a chart. So it takes a singular verb. The number of absences has increased. It's literally a one-word difference, but it's a massive shift in grammar.
So here it is. This is your master cheat sheet, bringing the whole playbook together. From the core singular/plural nouns to those stubborn indefinite pronouns like everyone, all the way down to compound subjects and that sneaky proximity rule. Honestly, when you can consistently pull off these structures, your English goes from just being okay to sounding incredibly proficient and controlled.
All right, before we completely wrap up this explainer, I'm leaving you with a final challenge based on that proximity rule we just talked about. Neither the teacher nor the boys blank aware of the change. Is it A, is, B, are, or C, were? Take a good look at the subjects. Look at the connecting words. Which verb correctly finishes this play, and why? Remember, find that verb gap and look at the noun closest to it. Got your answer? You know, mastering these rules makes subject-verb agreement feel like second nature. But here's a thought to leave you with. If locking down just a few of these core rules can transform your fluency this much, what other common grammar myths are secretly sabotaging your conversational English right now? Keep exploring, keep practicing, and thanks for joining me to master the playbook.